My name is Mark, and this is my story. We've always been close. At least, that's what I used to tell people about my brother. We weren't the kind of siblings who fought over toys or turned cold as we got older. We laughed at the same jokes, played the same video games growing up, even split rent in our 20s. I was the planner, he was the risk-taker, and I spent most of my life believing that balance was enough to make our bond unbreakable. But one night changed all of that. It started with a phone call. "Hey, man," he said, slurring just enough for me to notice. "Can I borrow your car tonight? Just need to get home. I'm good. Swear." It was late. I was already in bed, and part of me wanted to say no, but then he added, "Just for a few hours. I'll park it outside your place before morning." I sighed. "Fine. Keys are in the mailbox." I didn't sleep well. Something sat wrong in my gut. Around 3:40 a.m., loud banging shook my front door. Police. 2 officers, stone-faced, badges gleaming under my porch light. "Sir, is this your vehicle?" one asked, holding out a photo on his phone. It was my car, smashed. Blood on the windshield, headlight shattered. I stepped back, confused. "What happened?" "There was a hit and run," the other officer said. "The driver fled the scene. We have witnesses who placed your vehicle at the site." My mouth went dry. "It wasn't me," I said. "I wasn't driving." "Who was?" they asked. I hesitated. My brain raced. I didn't want to lie, but I also didn't want to believe the truth. "My brother," I finally said. "He borrowed it." They exchanged a glance. "Do you have any proof?" No text, no call log, no camera footage, nothing that proved I wasn't the one behind the wheel. The last thing I remember was the feel of cold steel around my wrists, handcuffs. In the holding cell, my thoughts spiraled. I assumed he'd show up at any moment, clear things up, admit what he did. But morning came, and nothing. I called him from the jail phone, no answer. I called again, still nothing. A day passed, then another. Finally, on the 3rd day, he showed up to visit me. I was pulled into a sterile visitation room, still in the same orange jumpsuit, tired, angry, hopeful. He sat across the glass from me, looking like he hadn't slept. "You're here," I said. "Thank God. You have to tell them." "I can't," he interrupted. "What?" "I can't admit to it. If I do, I'll lose everything. I was already on probation. One more charge, and I'm done." "You ran someone over," I whispered. "You left them to die." "I didn't mean to," he snapped. "It just happened. I panicked. I didn't know what to do." "So you let me take the fall?" He lowered his eyes. "I didn't ask you to." I stared at him, stunned. "Are you serious?" "You'll be okay," he said quietly. "You're the responsible one. They'll go easier on you." I laughed, one of those hollow, bitter laughs that come from the gut. "Do you hear yourself? I'm in jail for something you did, and you're sitting out there, free, acting like I can just ride this out." He didn't respond, just stood up and left. I sat there, shaking. Betrayal doesn't come like thunder. It doesn't scream. It seeps in, quietly, like poison. The case moved forward. Witnesses placed the car at the scene. There was no DNA, but the prosecution argued that ownership was enough. My silence about his involvement made me look complicit. After all, I had no alibi. The victim survived, but barely. A man in his 60s, crushed pelvis, broken ribs, hospitalized for weeks. And me? I took a plea deal. Lesser charges, no trial, no press. 6 months in county. 6 months to sit and think about how one moment, one decision, ripped apart a lifetime of loyalty. I was released on a gray, rainy Tuesday. No one was waiting outside. Not my brother. Not anyone. I went home to an empty apartment and a totaled bank account. Bills had piled up. My job was gone. My reputation? Shot. 2 weeks later, I ran into a mutual friend. "Heard about what happened," he said awkwardly. Tough break. Yeah, I replied. You seen my brother? He hesitated. He's doing good, actually. What do you mean? Got a new job, better money, dating someone new. He's even talking about getting a new car. I stared at him. He was thriving, while I was still sweeping up the wreckage. That night, something shifted in me. I stopped grieving, and I started planning. I didn't want revenge, not in the burn down his life sense. I wanted truth. So I gathered every message, every voicemail, every trace of proof I had. I subpoenaed traffic footage, reached out to the victim's lawyer anonymously, sent a tip, pushed the right buttons. A month later, the case was reopened. Not against me, against him. Turns out, my brother had been bragging to someone, his new girlfriend. She'd recorded him admitting it during a drunken rant. That recording landed on a prosecutor's desk. He was arrested 2 weeks later. Hit and run, DUI, probation violation, filing a false report. He called me from jail, begged me to help. I can't, I said, repeating his own words. If I do, I'll lose everything. Click. I haven't spoken to him since. The irony? He got more time than I did. And now, every time someone asks about my brother, I say the same thing. He borrowed my car. I borrowed his consequences.